Kansas State and Iowa State are in a massive beef. Who is right? Who is wrong here? So to unpack a little bit, Jerome Tang is livid at the end of a game in the midweek between Kansas State and Iowa State. He is livid at the officiating crew, gets technical later on in the game. This is a game in Ames, but livid apparently, according to multiple sources on the Iowa State side, he thought it wasn't somebody yelling a racial slur originally, and that's even part of this, is that Kansas State fans, as soon as Jerome was mad, before they had any information, were claiming that Iowa State fans were racist and screaming racial slurs. And then there was this whole deal about how Iowa State fans were throwing things to the bench. Both of those things became untrue. And then Jerome Tang, after the game, shaking TJ Otzelberger's hand, explains something to him very vividly, is almost pointing like somebody's holding a phone, and he's talking about, then the rumor becomes, okay, it wasn't a racial slur, it wasn't somebody throwing something, it was Jerome Tang being upset that apparently Iowa State was trying to film the huddle. They had a manager that was trying to film the huddle, or a manager that was trying to spy, or somebody who was sweeping the floor was trying to get in the huddle of Kansas State and film it or listen in. And Jerome Tang didn't like that. One of his staffers, according to sources, cussed out the kid. And Jerome comes to the podium and says, nothing happened. We'll keep it between the coaches. And TJ Otzelberger, obviously, with that statement from Jerome Tang, now things can run. He was never accusatory. He never said publicly somebody was filming my bench, somebody had said a racial slur, somebody threw something. Jerome never made a legitimate accusation against Iowa State. But by virtue of being unclear, by virtue of him saying something happened, nothing happened, whatever, who cares, we'll keep it between the coaches, then rumors start to fly. The situation becomes bigger than it needs to be, and Iowa State gets a very tough look. An example of this is that Kansas State fans are tweeting out, Iowa State fans are racist. That was a whole deal that happened this week. And that's because Jerome Tang never gave any clarity. Now, I'm a big Jerome Tang guy. I've told you, he's the first person I hugged after Baylor's 2022 Big 12 basketball championship victory on the court. He is a dude. I love the guy. But I do think he's in the wrong in this situation. I understand. We've all been in scenarios where we don't have enough information, but in the moment, we're mad. In the middle of a basketball game, I get it. In the moment, he's upset. If one of your staffers comes to you, the head coach, and says, hey, their managers are filming us, or hey, this person is doing X, this person is doing X, and it's keeping us from winning this basketball game or putting us at a disadvantage. You are going to be upset before you ask questions, and you're going to tell TJ Otzelberger to figure it out. You're going to tell them to investigate it. And then Jerome said that he's a big fan of TJ and a fan of what he does and likes his program. And I think Otzelberger, Jamie Pollard, all of Iowa State did the right thing. I think they nailed this. While Kansas State, who has had issues at the very top, university president to athletic director to Jerome Tang himself in the last week, doing things the Big 12 might fine him for, a la calling out a ref at the Houston game, which I think Jerome is right. I think Jerome's right in a lot of this. Where he's not right is being so vague that it created nasty rumors about Iowa State that were not true. And TJ Otzelberger instead comes out and lays it down. He says, we didn't do this. We didn't do anything. This stir, these rumors, all of these allegations, the bad look that our program is getting, he said it basically said it's a disgrace to the fans, it's a disgrace to the players, to the coaches, and he's right. Jerome Tang could have done two things that would have been honestly better than leaving it so vague. By the way, according to The Athletic, when Jerome was questioned on this after TJ Otzelberger's comments, Jerome said, I stick with what I stood by in the press conference, which was basically saying nothing happened. This is between the coaches. What Jerome could have done is said, here's what happened. Here's what I was told. I was told that there was a manager who was filming our bench. We're looking into it. Then TJ Otzelberger comes out and says that it wasn't a manager looking at your bench. And then Jerome Tang comes out and says, we cleared it up. We're on good terms. That's the best possible scenario here, is just being normal. Like that honestly creates less of a stink than leaving it so vague. Or what Jerome Tang could have done is just leave it vague. Otzelberger says, we looked into it. This is not us. These allegations are untrue. And then Jerome Tang makes a statement and says, I'm sorry. Like, Jerome Tang is a guy who believes in accountability. And his actions in the postgame caused a lot of flack that was seemingly unnecessary for Iowa State. Jerome Tang, to me, is the kind of character guy that says, you know what? There was a misconception. I got it wrong. We're on great terms. That's it. That's all you have to do. But instead, what's been created is a massive rift between Iowa State and Kansas State fans, which, by the way, isn't that bad. I don't know if I can pick a side here, exactly. If I don't know if I could say, hey, I'm team Jerome Tang, he didn't do anything wrong. I feel like Jerome could have handled it differently, could have handled it better. Or that I'm team TJ Otzelberger. It seems like Otzelberger did what he needed to do, came out and cleared his name, cleared his program, and said these rumors aren't true. I am team rivalry. This has ignited Farmageddon into a different animal. When we talk about some of the classic basketball rivalries across the country, and many people start with the Duke and Carolina, or they go to the Big East and talk about some of those games, what if we're able to create and craft those in the Big 12 in basketball with games that are now more high profile, since Kansas State and Iowa State are both very good at basketball with a couple of head coaches who weren't that well known when they were brought in? It's not like these two teams hired coaches that were big names across the sport to revive. This wasn't a Sean Miller comes in to coach one of these. No, these are guys who are pick it up by the bootstraps and just go shock the world and win. Iowa State and Kansas State doing kind of the same thing and winning ahead of schedule. And now they both hate each other. I love that the fans hate each other. Can I just say too, the video of the Iowa State fans that are trying to tee up Jerome Tang, and there's this grandpa old man and the Jim Carrey looking guy. And then there were some people who were like, this is so embarrassing for your fans. No, that's the word. The word is fans. They're fanatical. We all go to college basketball games and make fools of ourselves. Now, do I do that? Do I do the tee up? Sometimes. But I get why it's a weird look for an old guy to be teeing up the head coach. But brother, that's what we do at college basketball games. We don't just sit down quietly like Kansas State fans. You of all people get this. You get this. Kansas State has they have a top 5 most passionate fan base in the new Big 12. The 16 new Big 12 teams, it's top 5. It's an elite fan base comparatively in the Big 12. You get it. Your old people yell too. And if they don't, you want them to. I think we'd all take a step back. Actually, don't. Take a step forward. I love that this rivalry has become even more intense because of what happened between Jerome Tang and TJ Otzelberger. Hell yeah. Coming up, BYU. Dude, we got to have a come to Jesus here. No pun intended. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you, kind folks, by FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one place to go when you want to win money. Oh, you feel like you haven't won money in a while? Good. FanDuel's here to fix that. And with the NFL playoffs going on, how about those games yesterday? Crazy. FanDuel's doing even more. I love Super Bowl Sunday, which is almost here, by the way, because of not just the game, the food, but the ability to make same game parlays and sit on the couch with my friends and have props. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end your season with a W or 2 or 3. So right now, not only can you bet on who will win the Super Bowl, but FanDuel also has bets for which player will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored. Super Bowl 58 is coming up, $200 if you join today in bonus bets if you bet $5 or more. And it wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel.com/lockedon for $200 in bonus bets if your $5 moneyline bet or your $5 bet in general hits. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.